everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watch the movies.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So, can you believe it? It is December 2020. We made it, guys. We are going to get through this year, believe it or not.
You should probably just wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe.
Okay.
I believe we are just going to coast. We're going to cruise down the finish line. It's going to be beautiful. This is it. This is our month, guys.
That would be nice. We deserve it.
We do. Yeah. For doing nothing at all, but hey.
Still.
Sometimes that's hard.
Yes, it is.
So we have watched all the new movies on Netflix, which you may or may not want to check out yourself. So let's dive right in because there's a couple. First off, Ghosts of War.
Ghosts of War.
Ghosts of War. So, very generally, it's hard to describe this one, but it's a group, it's like a fivesome of American soldiers towards the end of World War II, I suppose.
That's right.
And they are house-sitting.
They're in France,
French Chateau.
The Nazis are retreating, and this chateau is one of the places that the Nazis had taken over as some kind of command base.
They had occupied it, so the Americans are trying to not let them take it back. So right now, those 5 guys, their job is to keep it that way.
Yeah, just hang out in this house.
To hang out, eat well, which they haven't done in a while, sleep in warm beds, which they haven't done in a while, have dry feet, which they haven't done in a while. It sounds like a cushy job.
It does.
It does.
Except that...
It wasn't.
No.
No. Things
Why not, Jay?
go to heck and heck. It's a horror movie. You need to know that. It's not just a war movie. It is a horror movie. It is a war horror. I mean, all war is horror. But this one
is
superhero. Yes, with supernatural or sci-fi or some kind of weird twist in there where in this house, does the house speak to them? They're not sure. It's haunted. It's definitely haunted though, right?
It's
pretty definitely haunted.
We all agree on that.
Yeah.
The guys that they relieved that are all too eager to get out of the house agree on that.
Yeah, but what kind of jerks were they to not give any warning? Hello.
No, it's very rude.
Very rude.
It's bad form.
It's got to be some sort of war etiquette.
For sure it is.
Yeah.
If you are occupying a haunted house, at least warn them about it.
Yeah, heads up, guys.
Heads up, this house is haunted.
Yeah.
Sorry about your luck.
Terrible, yeah.
And yet there's food here, so it's not all bad.
It's not all bad, exactly. So the house is haunted apparently by the original family who hid Jews in the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. They hid Jews there. Then the Nazis came, and then the Nazis were not pleased with them. So they did pretty terrible things to the family.
Yeah, they tortured and murdered them.
Yes.
As Nazis do.
So I've heard, yeah. And then at night, the ghosts of the family reenact those murders.
Yep.
On whoever's available.
Correct.
I mean, the ghosts are just mad, and I think they sort of go out of their way to say, like, it's not just the Nazis, but also the good guys who let it happen.
Yes, those who stood by. That's right.
So, you know, they're not letting the Allies off, let's just say.
No.
Everyone is culpable, and they are equal opportunity hauntists. Yeah, you laugh, but this was really scary stuff. It is already a war-torn haunted mansion. And terrible with ghosts, with dead children. Yeah. Lots of horrible things are going to happen here. And then some.
Correct.
So our 5 soldiers are played by Brenton Thwaites, Kyle Gallner, Alan Ritchson, Skyler Astin, and Theo Rossi. I do want to mention that Billy Zane is in this. He got a real little part, so don't get too attached. Yeah. Don't go in thinking this is going to be a strong Billy Zane picture.
It still is, but...
Well, I think he's a producer on it, so he was just lending his star quality to make sure this war, horror, sci-fi, supernatural, oh my god, I don't know what Haunted Mansion movie gets seen on Netflix in December 2020.
Yes.
Written and directed by Eric Bress. And where did this guy come from? Hasn't directed anything since 2004's The Butterfly Effect.
Oh, weird.
Wrote a couple of Final Destination movies, and that's it. That's his whole repertory. So, yeah, just had this sitting in the dark recesses of his creepy mind. And
yeah.
Should we tell the people that our lights have just flickered on and off?
No.
Nobody lives in our walls, I'm pretty sure, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can guarantee this was not occupied by Nazis in World War II.
Yeah, I felt pretty confident about that myself. Yeah. Okay, 1 out of 10, no, 1 to 10, scale, 1 to 10. What would you give this movie?
Like a 4.
Like a 4. Okay. So, not a recommendation.
No, it's not.
Will anyone like this movie?
I don't know that anyone will.
Okay. I mean, it is I think there's pretty strong elements of horror here. But, I mean, there is, though, the elements that come toward the end. Like, there's a haunted house, but also a bit of a mystery there because we don't fully understand. There's journal entries, there's language barriers.
Journal that has written in different languages that these guys can somehow understand, even though they don't speak German or Arabic or whatever.
And there's like a pentagram in the attic.
Yes.
You know what? There's some stuff. There's some stuff there to unpack, and it's a pretty heavy suitcase. Overstuffed, perhaps.
Definitely.
Feels like it did not get to the final destination in a straight line. It may have taken some detours.
It takes a lot of detours, and that's really my biggest complaint about this movie. I thought the haunted house was pretty well done.
Okay, yeah.
But the thing is, that's only the first 2/3 of this movie.
Yes.
And then it goes way off.
Rails? Yeah.
Way off.
Yeah.
But it is just, you didn't need to do that. It's not like we have a whole bunch of World War II haunted house movies. Mm-hmm. You could have just played that straight. We didn't need the rest of it.
Okay, poor Sean.
I know.
All right.
It was too much.
Too much for Sean, guys. Okay, let us know if you saw it and if you handled it like a man. Next movie, Notes for My Son. This is an Argentinian movie, although it is inspired by an American story. Marie is the leading lady who is dying of cancer. It is going to be a bit of a rough death, guys. Not just in terms of physical pain, although that is certainly there, but she has a 3-year-old son that she has to say goodbye to. So Marie is played by Valeria Bertuccelli, who is very, very good in this. And she's got to be, because she is carrying this whole movie. And written and directed by Carlos Sorin. It's actually, it sounds like it's going to be this crazy tearjerker, and I'm not saying it's without tears, but it is not asking you to cry for this lady or pity this lady. It's actually just treating death very naturally. Like we are just one of her friends in the room with her. And her room is quite boisterous with a lot of visitors and friends, which is nice to see. And, you know, she doesn't want to be called strong or courageous. She is not happy to be dying, but she doesn't have a choice. And that turns out to be more true than she even knew, because according to her country's laws, she should be allowed to have not exactly euthanasia, but compassionate sedation, where basically they just put her to sleep in the last week or so she doesn't have to feel that bad downward spiral. But this woman is tweeting such scintillating insights about death and dying. She's got a huge following on her cancer Twitter. And, the social media storm grows. She gets on the local news, the national news. And so the doctors in her hospital get real skittish about administering this medication, and they refuse to do it for her. So now the little control she and her husband have over this, and she's been putting off this day because she's writing notes to her son. She's got this whole little journal she wants to fill out for him with her thoughts and her hopes and dreams, to have something to leave behind for him because he's very young. She's going to leave him very young. And so this gives sort of a goal and a reason for her final days. But once that's complete, she's been dealing with pain and putting it off. But she does feel like, okay, that's enough. Her husband, and this, she admits, is like the biggest act of love that anyone has ever done. He plans her death, and then the doctors are the one with the cold feet.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's really, I think, an interesting story. It definitely deals with death very realistically, so it does hit you. But it's not sugarcoating it, and it's not trying to glorify it or anything like that. It's just very putting you in the room, and her friends are trying to be jubilant or lifting up her spirits, but they're kind of grieving as they're losing her. Her husband is taking care of all this paperwork, but also a 3-year-old son. There's so much to do. She is in agony, and also giving news interviews. So
she's got a full plate.
Yes. Like I said, it was somewhat loosely inspired by an American story, a woman by the name of Heather McManamy. She is the woman who tragically died of cancer in 2015, and she wrote a series of greeting cards for her daughter Brianna to be given to her on the big milestones of her life, which is a movie trope we have seen dozens of times. But when it's a real life thing, obviously that's very different, and I'm sure to have some small treasure of your missing parent
it's a nice idea.
Yeah.
It is.
So after she passed, she's from Wisconsin, her husband turned all of those cards into a book and published it. So if you're interested in that, it's called Cards for Brianna, Mom's Message of Living, Laughing, and Loving as Time is Running Out. So it is about time, the management of time, the appreciation of time, and using what you have for what you think is important. So yeah, there are tears, there are frustrations, there's laughter and pain and memories, but at the end of the day, we all have a clock that's running out, and she knew basically where hers was. And so it really puts it into perspective. What are you going to do with those last hours and minutes of your life? And she knew. And she left behind, I think, a very nice memorial for her son. And of course, Heather left behind, what ultimately was published into a book. So that's kind of a nice thing to be able to look back on, I'm sure. For little Brianna, who would rather have her mother.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They do grow up without her mom, which I'm sure is crazy hard every day. And a book is maybe some small comfort, I hope. So I think this one was actually pretty good, and I'm glad I watched it. Terrific acting. Like I said, as there had to be, really. She does it all from a hospital bed. So truly it is about her being present in the moment and showing us the different stages of death and acceptance and her grief, and also her hope for other people's future. And finally on our list we have The Beast, or La Belva, because it's an Italian film. The Beast. This one was directed by Ludovico Di Martino, and it's really about Riva. So Riva, played by Fabrizio Gifuni. I don't know if he's got any relation to the fabric squirty thing.
Febreze.
Yeah. But anyways, Arriva is an ex-soldier, ex-special forces. He's home. He has broken his family because he has not returned his former self, or some would say a nice self. He's been very difficult to deal with. So his wife left him. His teenage son, Matthias, is very angry with him. So really he's only got his little daughter, Teresa, who still kind of loves him unconditionally, as little kids tend to do. They're very forgiving. So maybe if the kidnappers would have taken Matthias, this would have been a different story.
You might have just said goodbye.
Yeah, they didn't though. They took the cute one. They took Teresa.
Big mistake.
Yes, huge. Riva goes into beast mode. Now, if you're thinking this sounds like an Italian Taken, you're right. It does. Does he have a special set of skills? I mean, he was trained for the special forces, so conceivably, yes. He doesn't put that out. I mean, he does not even stop to make phone calls. This guy is just like gone, steals a police scanner and gets the heck out of Dodge.
So he has really missed the whole point of Taken, which is to make cool phone calls.
Oh, and threatening
the
speeches.
Kidnappers,
yeah, obviously. But these kidnappers are not asking for ransom, so that's why they're not calling him. They want to sell the little girl.
Oh.
Yeah. So he chases up the various chains of command of evil.
Right.
Well,
yeah, I know.
Whatever, you know.
He goes second lieutenant,
Well,
first lieutenant.
no, it
Second.
goes like the drug dealers who needed the money, so they took the girl and then passed them on to, you know.
I do, yes.
Sean, as if I have to explain this to you.
I know, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
I know how
You're
it works.
embarrassing yourself here, Sean. What I liked about this film is that they don't give him superhuman qualities. You know, he is so many times these regular men just turn into superheroes somehow, just plowing their way through bad guy after bad guy. And he kind of does, but it's not like slick and beautiful choreography. He's not this crazy fighter. He just is so filled with rage and devastation that he doesn't care how much he gets hurt. It doesn't matter how much damage he takes. He's just single-mindedly going after his daughter.
So he's a Rocky as opposed to a Rambo.
Okay, let's call it that. That's not an opaque reference at all.
Okay.
Anyways, the police whose actual job it is to do this are not really happy with him. In fact, consider him a suspect for a good portion of the movie, since he did just take off from the scene of the crime, having stolen police equipment. And he keeps turning up where all these dead bodies are. But, like, he's a step ahead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is rough. It's definitely a more gritty feel. It's very savage. It really is just a brutal hunt. It kind of goes on too long, though. Past where you think the ending will be, which is a bit of a surprise, and not a good one. So I liked the movie more than I didn't like it, I guess. I would probably do a 6 out of 10 for this one. If you're just in it for like the action, then you might feel slightly more forgiving. But I doubt this will get more than a 7 from anyone. And 6 might even be generous, but don't ever say that I'm not generous.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not terrible. I think it gets some things right, although the things it gets right, it's copying. We've definitely seen those things before. It's a difficult subject matter, of course. And he, I think I mentioned that he is an ex-soldier. The thing about him that makes this character interesting and dangerous is that he has like pretty severe PTSD that's getting triggered pretty severely by the violence that he's perpetuating here.
As it would.
Yeah. So I think he was tortured as a prisoner of war at some point. We don't get obviously a full picture because they're flashbacks and they're really his experience of the flashbacks rather than for our benefit. So we don't get a full picture of what he went through, but it seems pretty terrible. So he's reliving that while he's also, you know, plowing through bad guys trying to get his daughter back. So there's a double level of horror going on here. And the fact that he's still on his 2 feet is pretty miraculous considering the stuff he's going through. So I think, again, there was solid acting. He makes a pretty good anti-hero, I think we probably have to call him, but he's very brooding. He's very like stalkery. He's just sort of hovers in scenes, and it feels like he haunts the scenes, but we know that he is haunted. So there's a really sort of creepy vibe going on a lot of the time, which works until it doesn't, I suppose.
Well, that's what they say.
But yeah, I was just really surprised because I think it's a 97-minute film, but it feels about 30 minutes too long. And I think I just think that last chapter went in the wrong direction. It's not that it went too long, it's that it started telling the wrong story. Yeah. So still maybe worth a watch if you really like the genre and you're looking for fresh blood. There will be plenty spilled. Yay. So 3 good options for December 2020, early December 2020, my goodness. We got a whole month ahead of us, but we are gonna make it, and Netflix can help. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.